Oh, I don't know, fellas. These are customers. I sold Craftsman 9 horsepower, 28-inch slice and dice. It's not bad. Been sitting out here for a while. He's had it stored fairly well. Look, it's still got the plastic up here on it. We're gonna get this off. We don't want this. I'll get that off in a minute. Let me dig this out. I'm gonna get the pressure washer out today. We'll take some of the stuff, covers and whatever off. But you know, this is my favorite, one of my favorites. You know, the 9 or 8 horsepower or the 10 horsepower Tecumseh, they fare real well. This one looks like it's in good shape. Like I said, we'll get the belly pan off, we'll get the covers off. I can get a box for it. And let me get it out of here and we'll get started. This tire here, all right, driver's side, that's a little flat. We'll put air in it for now. Doesn't look too bad, right? It's not too dirty from sitting out. And we gotta be careful with the pressure washer in there, so we'll just go lightly. We don't really need to do a lot. This all is good. We got the covers off. Although down here, I want to show you. See now, let me see. See this wire here? Right, we're not going to be able to take that off. I don't know why. We can cut it, but it doesn't matter. See up here, let me change. All right, so we're on the left hand side, we're one hole down right over there, and I know there's not a lot of light, so I think we'll take this off and that bolt off because this cover's ready to come off. So the only thing holding it would be we got to take the little primer tube off, and normally we don't have to do this. See, this bigger rod, it goes over to here on the inside hole, and the thinner rod goes over to here. All right, to the throttle. Throttle's moving, everything's going good. All the bolts are out of it. So let me do that. I'll pull this tube off careful like, and then we should be able to get this off because we're gonna want to check his ignition system as well. And I'm kind of like just setting everything up for tomorrow. Might want to leave the starter motor on, but we're going to want to lubricate that starter motor. We don't know if it's squeeze or what it does yet, but other than that, she's looking good, fellas. Let me keep going. There we go. Okay, that's not too bad. Oh, I forgot to take off the tube, but it's not too bad in there. I'll get you in tight. That's not bad, fellas. A little rusty in there, but we'll get that cleaned up. That will do tomorrow. Let's see. Somebody put a little what? Well, is there white grease on it? No, maybe it's just oxidation. It spins though. Well, we always want to go in here to make sure there's no mouse nests or anything, and we're going to clean up the coil. That's not bad. So tomorrow, I have a couple other machines to, you know, kind of break down, tear down. But tomorrow, we'll be able to. Yeah. Oh, she's grinding on the coil. Yep, that rust is building up. She's grinding on the coil. That's one of the things I like to do. And then I spray everything with chain wax. It kind of protects it because it's wet. It's a wet environment. We'll check the carburetor, see if it needs one. I might have one too. I just ordered one, but I can get another one. All right, I used some flat out because I went to go move this. So yesterday I put some air in it, and it's flat, but when I went to put the flat on in, you got to take the valve out, and it felt like it was loose, like really loose. So it could have just been leaking through the valve. So whatever, put some flat out in. This one didn't leak anyway, so it's still good. All right, let me go clean it. Let me put some air in it, and then I'll go move it over there, slosh it around, right? So, I mean, not really a good way to slosh it, but you know, worst case, it's in there. And it might take a little while to seal up the tire, but it's in there now. Did you know Super Clean is also great for spotting leaks. Yep, regular super clean. Right there, so it's right around this seam here. So we're gonna just try to leave it low. But yeah, it'll be a while before that stop leak gets to it. Oh yeah, she's probably ran flat and then kind of tweaked the seam, but we're okay over on this side. Alright, let me get out of here. It's too windy to do any filming, you know. Look how good it looks, fellas. Right? Nothing wrong here. This thing's clean. Leave it out here for tonight. I'm too tired now. Yeah, she's beautiful. All the sand is out of it for the most part. That's the biggest thing, right here on the island. Depending upon if, you know, how much snow we get, there's still a little bit of junk up in here. We'll wipe that out, blow it out. All right. Super clean. Get yours now. All right, got some flat out. I put a little more flat out in, and I also, an old trick is a little bit of oil with, at this time I just used some old two-stroke, but I need a thicker oil. So I got it to stop leaking, but here where there was some damage, but here there's a seam and it's still leaking a bit. So I got it up on the table, and just while I'm kind of noodling around today doing other stuff, and if I have to, I'll put more of this in. Like I said, I already put a little bit more in, so this is a second application. I can move it around on the table and kind of try to get that liquid inside to sort of settle in down here and splash it around. But I've also used, I like to use like a really black used carbonized oil. That's the best stuff to use. So I might put some more of that on a little bit later. But it swells up the material and it will seal. In fact, actually, I was just watching Musty again. He just did it to some old tires he had on a machine, that go-kart that he picked up. But it takes a little while to do. So we're just going to leave it sit like this for a little bit. And again, putting the gasoline in just helps it to soak in a little deeper. And we'll find out. We'll experiment. So I can see she's still a little weepy. I want to turn it over on its other side. All right, fellas. It's been a couple of weeks, I don't know, month, since I actually started on this thing. So I think it's time to finish it. But it's all been cleaned. I had it on its face, so it leaked some kind of black oil from something. All right, so what I want to do is, it's getting late, so I just want to finish cleaning up in the shop a little bit. It's up on the table. There's a box of parts and some other stuff. I'm going to look for it tonight and some tomorrow as well. We got to pull the gas tank off. All right, that's here, out of the way, you can't see it. We got to pull the carburetor off. I'd like to pull the gas tank off tonight. Really just focus on that, guys. Because if there's any dirt in it, I want to be able to wash it out, get it cleaned out with some gas as well, blow it out really good, and just leave it around for tonight. This way it will be dry. So I'll see you guys in a few minutes. It's always easy to take the muffler off. I like to put some of my release agent, which is the tranny fluid mix. All right? It's good for so many things. About 50-50. If it's a little, that's a little thick, but if you want it to penetrate better, yeah. So muffler's off. I've mentioned this before. Factory carbs, usually you'll see it's like a triangle, the two holes in the bottom and the one up top. Right? That smaller rod comes over here to the governor and it's in front. The bigger rod comes back over here to the controller. And the hose looks pretty good. I'm going to put a little bit more release agent on that and work it out careful. I'm just going to make sure I inspect it. But let's just get this off. I'm going to work that hose a little bit. And because with all the covers off and everything, fellas, let me turn this light on. Remember this is stuck. Okay, so we're going to pull that off. So with everything off, you got to take this stuff off because it's the only way to really get in here properly. Right? This is not a new machine or newer machine. These are great machines. Let me get started. All right, fellas. All right, so we got the carburetor off, and let me just interrupt right here to speed things along a little bit. Carburetor shot. It's nasty. You probably could clean this if you had some tools to do it. Dump it into like a sonic bath for a little while, get it cleaned up. But it's not a guarantee. We have a HIPA carburetor, so why not use that? And even better, I've got a HIPA carburetor that is fully adjustable, which is also a separate video. So there's going to be two separate videos on this. I will leave links in the description, or maybe put something somewhere over here. I'll let you know. But that will be another video. In this video, we just want to stay focused on getting the entire machine kind of cleaned up. But we are going to do, in this video, we are going to get to the transmission and things like that. So, yeah, let's, you check out the other videos. Now, the second video on the carburetor is going to be how to tune an adjustable carburetor. And so if you're interested in that, a little bit more technical, but there is a little bit of technique to it, a little bit of magic to it. So you're going to want to check out that video if you're interested. And I think it'd just be easier to be more involved in those things and not have it take up a tremendous amount of room in this video. Let's get back. All right, fellas, I didn't put any oil in it yet because, we're tossing this thing around. I have very little fuel in it. Let's just get some lubricant, not lubricant, some solvent, not lubricant, on there. Gas, gum out, lacquer thinner, brake cleaner, doesn't matter. Get something on there. I can really feel it. There's rubber stuck, right, to this surface, so we're going to want to get that off. And I usually brake cleaner works real good. I wanted to try just some old gas, but no, I think the brake cleaner works a little bit better. And you can move this guy around. Let me get a little bit of brake cleaner on that. You can see it though, it's loosening up. Just a touch of brake clean. I'm running out. I use this to kill the freaking bugs that are in here. We got these spider crickets or spigots. So nasty. I gotta get my sister to give me some more of that bait. Yeah, this is working good. So I'm just gonna work this angle here, and then we'll move over. A little stiff. So it's moving, but it's a little stiff. So we'll let that sit. Now, because it's a little stiff, I want to put a little bit of oil on this and see if I can get it to move better. While we're making our mess. This is my tranny flavored sauce. And I remember I put a little bit on after I washed it. And then we'll get grease on later. We'll probably just put a little bit of chain wax on it too. Get some in there. I'm just going a little bit at a time. Let's move it again. Yeah, that's better. Let's get over to the other side. Yeah, see? Yeah, it needed that. And maybe we can wipe it, because it might just be like old grease that's sticky. Yeah, that's better, fellas. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, let's wipe that off a little bit and we'll put fresh on while we're making a mess in here. It's not bad, actually. It's not terrible. And we'll get some grease in here. We'll put a little bit of our chain, we'll put lithium on that and some chain wax and lithium in a few spots. I'll show you what I do. Like I said, gum out works too. Anything, really. It doesn't matter. When we're done, we're going to get it dry, right? Really dry and clean. So I'm going to work this area for a little bit more. And then we have to wipe off this rubber too. Yeah, she's coming up. Let me wipe it. All right, we'll be back in a bit. All right, a couple of different things I got going on here. So I got some white grease all along this. All right. And I've been working that in. I got some chain lube along here, moving it back and forth. Some white grease here, and some chain lube. Trying to get it moving, it's a little sticky. And then this mechanism here, it moves, so we can actually get that from the front too. But I shot white grease up in here, and a little bit of chain lube as well. We need something that is thin enough, and I'll show you that in a bit, because it moves. And like I said, we can get it from the top too. I got some chain lube in here. These are Oilite bearings for the axles, which has already got oil impregnated in it. So a little bit of chain lube, which is be a little sticky. That's a good thing. You can also put oil there on that side, over here and there, same thing. Let me show you real quick. It's getting better. Oh yeah, because it was real sticky. There's no grease fittings on this, so I tried to get a little chain lube up in here, and underneath there are bearings there. Let it sit for a little while. This is pretty quick clean. We're going to let it drip for a little bit, and I think it's been dripping long enough. So I'm just going to put a little bit of brake cleaner or something on a tissue or something, and give it its last wipe. But we want to move everything around and get it to drip. Now this stuff, what's nice about this stuff is it's going to tack up. The white lube dries, which is like a dry lube. The chain wax in about 15 minutes. Right, when we put that on, it's going to kind of dry up, get a waxy film. This won't fully dry, but it won't be loose and sloppy. It's like what goes on your chain, right? It won't splatter. So it'll be stuck, so nothing is going to be leaking down. Besides, when it's on all fours, it's going to be leaking on the pan, even if it were to leak. It's not going to splatter when you're spinning it around. So it's not going to hit all of this stuff. Now, one of the things we want to do too is we could just take a little bit of brake cleaner on a tissue or something. And you don't need to do too much because you don't want to damage the rubber. But just spin this around a little bit and feel the rubber. I feel like a couple of spots. See the black? That's just grease and oxidized material. A couple of passes on that, fellas. Okay? It's clean. And then I just got to, one more time with another clean one, wipe that off. And then we'll be able to put it down. I think we're good here. I want to show you a couple of places just to shoot a little bit of white lube or something up on the handles. All right, while it's, up in the air like this, you see the rotation? Maybe a little white grease and a little chain lube. It's mostly in plastic, but we want something, again, that's not going to fully dry. So maybe just some chain lube or chain wax in there would be good. Do both of them. And then, of course, I hit the rollers here, too. So we got to do the rollers. Those you can do a little bit of chain lube or chain wax or even oil. Right, you just want to get everything moving again. All right, I also got this too. Let me just give it a wipe, but yeah, I mean also chain lube or chain wax, and I put a little bit of white lithium on there. So these are all lubed up. That's moving really nice. This is all good to go. I've come down all the way this way. Again, we got these guys here. Doesn't that look just terrific? This stuff will dry up. I can put the bottom on now, and we can put it on its feet. Remember now, I also got these shafts. When I had these tires off, I got those shafts and I got grease on those shafts. We tighten everything up good there. We just need to check this tire. This is the one that was a little bit leaky. It's still got plenty of air in it, but we want to top it off. All right, just real quick, I want to check in there. Yeah, it looks good in there. You can't see it, but make sure you check in there. Make sure that's good, because they can rot. You might want to put a little silicone in there, too. This dielectric grease you can put in there. I'll show you. Oh, that's beautiful. See, just enough. We just want good contact on everything. Let's give it a quick rinse. Instead of putting dielectric grease on, if you really want to do something, put some chain wax on it, right? It's fine, right? Dielectric grease is what we prefer, but the chain wax will still work good, and you want to put it on the whole thing, because it simply will not, I mean, this is all wet environment, just a little bit, and let that dry. We got the other stuff to do. It will wax up, and it will protect it, and it's not going to get in the way of anything. It's not like paint. It'll come off, it'll blade over time, but that could be years, right? So leave that sit. I'm going to go over to the engine. We got to clean off that, get the flyweight, we'll call it that, the magnet, and everything else cleaned up. I'll show you. Now that looks pretty good. What we want to do is we want to get oil in here. We might even want to take it off, but I think we can do it. We want to get oil all up, hold on, all up in here, just oil, all right? And then we'll put white grease on this gear and here, but never put any grease in that Bendix area, because it will get stuck when it's really cold out. So let's get some white grease on this, put a little on here too. We'll get the oil in there. Let me go do that. I figured we would use this to test with, and look, it's all loose. Okay. So to get to it, we can't get to it, right? This bracket's in the way. This bracket here, that's the bracket for the fuel tank. We gotta take that bracket off, and then we can get in here and align it, make sure it's okay, and get everything tight. All right, and then we can put this bracket back. Let's see. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I want to see if I can get this piece comes out. This piece behind it is a bushing or a bearing back there. I only really see it when this is the whole thing is out. So see, there's another piece there. I'm going to try to pry that out and get some oil behind that too. But that's working good. Put a little Loctite on these, right? They were not in all the way and they didn't seem to want to go in. Pull them out, put some Loctite on, put them back. I got the oil where I told you. I got the white lithium on the gear. This is just moving really sweet, fellas. So that should work, no problem. We got white lithium on everything. I put a little oil on the threads. Let's just lift it up and just kind of tweak it so it doesn't fall down. You know, lightly snug it. And then we'll turn the magnet to straddle the armature. And let's try, I should be able to get a 10,000ths in here, which is real nice. But you can go 12 to 15. 12 is fine. Right? It depends if there's any warpage or whatever. We don't see any leaking, right, from the seal back here. This thing is mint. Just push down a little bit. Let's give it a tightening. Trying not to be in your way. So we got the gauge in there, but it's kind of hard. I removed the handle, the bar for the chute, just to make it a little easier. Let's give it a snug. All right, these are nice. By the way, these bolts that hold this on, they're a little bit bigger than the ones that are used on the Briggs. So if you strip a Briggs, because you can strip the Briggs, because the Briggs go into aluminum on the block, these don't. These go into steel standoffs. So, you know, I mean, other than shearing the bolt, right? That's really nice. Now hold on. Let's get this out. Oh yeah. Spin it over. And we'll check the spark again. I'm going to check the spark a little bit. Just one more time. I'm going to put a little bit of lithium on, or you can use lithium or use your chain wax, but we'll just use the lithium that's here. Just to cover over that electrical connection. Nothing's going to rot now. If you want, you can put a little bit more grease on these gears, but I sprayed it with lithium. I think I might roll a little bit of just regular grease in because they're kind of rough and, you know, they're real raw, right? There's that rust on there. If you really wanted to, you could run your wire wheel over these. Best thing to do is probably take the starter motor out. This is just working really good. So we caught that. This is a good thing to do, even if you can just get in here every now and then and lube your starter, pull it out and get the lube oil up into the Bendix area. All right, I got my plug hanging on there. We'll check the spark. I put some of this stuff in, my tranny sauce in a while back. But we're going to put a little bit more in right now. Just kind of loosen everything up, loosen up the valves and the stems and the guides and the rings and whatever else. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Oh, yeah. See the stuff coming out? Oh, yeah, we got plenty of spark, fellas. All right, because I don't want to make a mess of things. It could ignite. All right, let's see what we got. I'm trying to hold it so that you don't get so much glare. Oh my God. Yeah, she's close to like 150, a good 140 PSI. Now it's going to be a little higher, right? Because we've got some lubricant in there. And so if the rings were struggling a little bit, that would make it seal up a little bit better. But we're so far into the green, right? All right, let's put the carburetor on. Now to start off with, we're going to use a little bit of oil because we're ready to put this back. A little oil. Get it in that spring pocket if you can find it. But it'll work its way in. I can't find the spring pocket. I think it's there. Yeah, here it is. You're not going to be able to see it, but then I'm going to pull it over. And then if you want, wipe up the excess, and if you want, put some chain wax in these areas. You want to get this going good, right? Remember, this is all wet operation. So pull it over a whole bunch of times. It's in great shape. Yeah. that's much better. And like I said, I'm going to finish up with just a bit of chain wax. This is all made in China. That's how you can tell it's a newer one. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I'm going to mount the starter push button. And again, a little bit of Loctite, fellas, because not a lot holds this stuff on, you know, and it's just in tin. So like a blue Loctite or something. You don't need a lot, just something. Put a little bit in there. I checked the oil. I got to show you guys the oil. Hold on, let me thread this in. I can tell that the oil has never been changed. And from the plug, it was running very rich. And although I can't smell it because it's been a long time. Oh my God, look at that. That is black oil. That is definitely some of the blackest oil I've ever seen. So probably fuel. Getting in, gas washing the cylinders and the rings and making a mess. So that fuel is probably long since burned out. All right, let's just take a look at the layout so that you can see. We want to get, I probably be better off if you went on the other side of this hose, right? I would think. Comes back around because we've got this guy here. That's not really a problem, but I mean, it's not terrible, but you know, it's kind of just like laying in there. All right, so you got the top of the triangle, right? Everything's good here. A little Loctite on these, okay, and here I'm going to put a little no-sees because there's that keeper that goes on there because they'll rot into place over time from the heat and the vibrations and the horror and the dissimilar metals. The the oxidation from an environment like that, just so that you can see what it all looks like. And of course down here, right, over here, that's your kill. All right, we don't need that key thing. We don't need this. You don't use that. All right, that's for children. So make sure that's clean, it's not rusty, and that's making good contact, because that's your kill. All right, I think we're good here. I'm going to put the muffler on, which is over here. I just put some of my high temp on it. Like I said, a little no-sees on those threads. They don't use a gasket, sadly. Although you can modify one and put one on. You just need a high temp exhaust style gasket. Sometimes I've even used the Briggs and I've modified them and got them on there. You know, Briggs like 190cc lawnmower style. All right, I think we're good, fellas. And then we'll bring it out. We'll get the gas tank on, and we'll bring it out. We'll run it up, and then we can bring it back in and change the oil. All right, fellas. Now, for those of you that don't know, okay, this plug and this engine, very common. It has a gasketed sealing surface, and because of that, we need to make sure that the plug is tight. And I've seen this a lot where I've gone to take plugs off, and they're like loose. And it's because, I think because people, when they go to tighten these, it feels like it's going to strip, but it's not stripping. It's just compressing the gasket, making the seal. So 3/8 ratchet is fine. I'm using something a little bit different because this is a slightly different size plug. And there we go. I'm making a turn. I can feel it. It's crushing. It's crushing the gasket, and it might feel to you like it's stripping. Nope, a little bit more. Okay, I can really feel it. And right about there. Now, you can go look up torque specs. I don't really care. Most people don't have torque wrenches. The average person putting one of these plugs in is not going to have a torque wrench. Now, the last thing is, on this plug, it's got one of these ferrules on it. And I mentioned earlier, we just want to give it a chick. Don't over-tighten it. Just snug it. You'll crack the porcelain. Just snug it, and you'll break the plug otherwise. So, just so it's not loose. And then we can push this thing down. All right, let me get a little gas in it, and we're going to bring it out and run it up. I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, fellas, let's give it a prime. All right, there's not much fuel in it. And then we're going to choke it all the way. Let's see what happens. All right. for some reason or other it like it ran out of fuel or something. The RPM seemed a bit high, and not sure why. Let's see if we can get it started again. But the shifter works, everything works. It's a little sticky. We're going to get in and lube everything. Let's drop the oil now. Alright, I got it propped up just a little bit in the front. Yeah, she's sticky. And these motors tend to fart a bit. We'll talk about that later. Let's just see what we got. Yeah, that's good. It is black, bros. Oh my goodness. Alright, let that drip. Alright, these are on. A little bit of Loctite, fellas. I'm going to just clean this up. I'm just going to blow a little paint on this here. Just a touch, right? Just to make it look a little prettier. And then we'll go around to the front and I'll get oil in it. And there's a few more lubrication points. And then we also have to do the auger. Alright, I got a little bit of Rust-Oleum Rusty Metal Primer on it. Which that can didn't want to work because you had to go it upside down. I must have dropped its straw. And then I picked up a can of Massey Ferguson implement paint, brand new. It didn't want to work, was all congealed and coagulated. So I used what I had, and it got close enough. All right, I'm gonna put it down on all fours in a minute, and you know that's like $20-something worth of paint. That's like garbage to me. It's unbelievable the crap that they make today. All right, white grease here. So that's a pivot for this thing here. So let's go around to the other side. So again, you want to get some. You can put white grease, but something like chain lube or chain wax. Or as I said, even oil if you don't have anything. You know, don't wait. You can always come back and put more. Same here on this spring here. If you can get a little oil on these pulleys, wipe it off when you're done. Same thing here. There is a way to get oil in there over here too. Put a tissue or something underneath it. Wipe it good. Down in here. Alright, watch. That's the pivot. Hold on, let me grab it. See? So you want to get some lubricant down in there. And push it forward and throw some lube in there. It's just basically rubbing and on the metal, and then there's a pivot point. You can also, if you want, put a little bit of touch of oil drop here on that seal. It'll help it out, keep it fresh. And I think now we can move to the front, right? Because I'm going to want to put... Now these bushings are plastic, but you can get some chain wax or some kind of lube in there. You want to drop lube. See, this is no good here. You got that there. I got to find some. We got to get rid of that. All right, we'll do this in a minute. And we want to put some oil in this too, because that's that grease in it, and that grease is going to be hard and dry. So we'll do that in a minute. Also, don't forget, right? There's a pulley here. See it? Let me dial in. It wasn't in the right spot. See it? You want to get that. And I also blew a little bit of, you blow a little chain wax or something on that spring. You know, chain wax or even the white lube is going to protect a lot of this stuff. Keep it from rotting. I squirted some lube in here, right? And here, right down all these pins. You see all these spacers here, right? In throughout all those spacers, through the pins, through everything. All the way down, and then if you want, you can, these are plastic bearings up in here. These are a better look over here. So these are replaceable, but you can shove some oil in there. So what I'm talking about right now is oil. We got to oil everything because we want to get oil through that whole shaft. Then you can put some chain wax or even some white lube in there. If you can get it a little bit in here too, chain wax, because it'll trap the oil, it'll gel up or wax up. And that'll protect it and won't come off so fast. You want to make sure that this whole shaft, you keep it as lubed as possible. And this has just got a little plastic thing. I lifted it up with a pair of dikes and diagonal pliers. I squirted some oil in there. Generally from the factory, these things come with grease. you can just stick a quick grease nipple in here and try to pump grease in. Problem with that is there's no place for the grease to go, and you really don't want to blow out the bearing seals on the end. So my recommendation is with your luber, right, squirt gun, some nice, go with like a, I usually put like a 40 weight oil or something in that lube gun. A couple of good squirts, put the cap back. That will loosen up the grease that's in there because it tends to dry and it gets kicked away from the gears that are in here. It just gets thrown off. That'll wet it up a little bit. It'll flow a little bit more. I mean, you got to do something. And I think that would probably be the best thing to do. I like to get a little bit back here. There's a seal there. Sometimes I use my tranny fluid mix for that. And of course, the last thing is, if you can see it, we've got somebody put some cotter pins in. There's one there, and there's one here. That's not terrible to do. This one's really small. That's not a terrible thing to do. Problem with doing it like this is you're going to get a lot of walk. That's bad. Okay, because that's going to wear the shaft and burr the shaft. So we got to get those out and put some real pins in, shear pins. I'll show you those in a minute. Now this one here is a little thicker, and in a pinch you can do that. It's probably one of the better ideas in a pinch because it's soft metal. That's why you can bend these. You can use, some people use toilet bowl brass screws, that kind of fixture brass. You can get away with that in a pinch, but it's not the right thing because it can damage the shaft as it's moving back and forth like this. It will cause wear on the shaft that's unnecessary. The good thing about it is that it will break if you get something jammed in there. Never use a regular bolt. It's just not good practice. If you need to do that just for a little while, you got to get back in there and chase it out. Get extras. All right, let me show you what I like to use. This should be 5/16. Sometimes they're quarter, and sometimes they're even 3/8. It depends upon the model and the size. Let me show you. That's what they look like, fellas. Notice they got a cut there and a cut there, and that's so that they break. And you also find them like this. There's a number of varieties. There's some old ones I keep around. Even these. Oh no, not that one. Yeah, these came out of another machine. They're quarter 20s, and they're very lightweight steel. You can see how they rot. There's a few variations on this that you can get, and they got the clips, right? And you can get these from Amazon. So all year round, or your local stores should have them. Here's another bag. Local stores should have these, I think, in the winter time. So they're really inexpensive. And so for something so cheap, believe me, you don't want to damage the gears inside that auger drive. I've got a video on it. It could be a nightmare. And if you haven't lubricated the shaft well and it's rusted and it's got burrs, good luck getting that all apart, boy. It's quite a job. And I'll leave a link in the description or something somewhere to a video I did on repairing this whole auger assembly. So this is the gearbox here that I was referring to earlier. Getting this all apart, if this shaft is all seized, good luck getting that all apart. If it's damaged and it has burrs, like from stuff like this, good luck getting that all apart, right? You can do it, but it's hard. And then, of course, the gears can be very expensive. You can get a knockoff gear, and they usually work pretty good, but they usually come full of burrs, and you need to smooth them out. So it's questionable. This is a big job. And then there's a bearing back in there, and so you're going to want to replace that too, or certainly check it and lubricate it. So this is a big job, and they're really, as long as you maintain it, it should last like for the lifetime just about, unless you eat something constantly. Or if you do stuff like this, you're going to shorten the life of this, and you might wind up throwing out the machine. All right, fellas, now we can turn our attention to the shoes. See all this space here, right? Because that's never been adjusted. It's just laying on the scraper. And I know some people like that, but that's not a good idea, okay? Because you're going to have everything on the scraper. Depending upon the scraper design, you're going to be wearing it prematurely, and that can be more expensive to deal with. This one's up real high. Look at that. So I lubed them the other day. Let me loosen those up. I'm going to drop them down, and what I like to do is a couple of paint sticks, one on either side. This is a nice flat table, so you could do this on a flat surface if you have a nice flat driveway or your garage. I'll raise it up, and just to give it that bit of space, and I'll show you, and then we'll lower these down to their flush with the surface, and then tighten them. Simple. This machine's in such terrific shape, fellas. There's nothing rotted or rusted. See? Just lay it down. Paint sticks. There's just nothing rotted here. This is just such a delight, fellas. Just a delight. And, you know, come on. If the paint stick... If you can't handle a paint stick with the skim coat of white on whatever, that's crazy, right? Do what you want, right? But at least if you're going to ride it on the scraper, drop these down without the paint sticks on, and so that at least these will provide some support to the can and everything. Because the other thing too is when it's down on the scraper, you will ride on the bottom of the can very often, and that will destroy the bottom of this whole barrel. By doing it this way, you're less likely to pick up rocks, dirt, gravel, junk. Just that little bit of extra clearance, it helps. You know, you want to preserve the machine as best as possible. You want the machine to work for you, but you want to preserve the machine, and then actually use, lifting these up and having it ride on the can and on the scraper that's just not what we do. That's not what we do here, fellas. Let me turn the light on so you can see. Hey, nice and flush. And these are nice, too, because these are reversible. So you get twice the life out of it. All right, this back on. Little Loctite. There. And there's also one back here, fellas. So, don't mix those screws up. Take pictures, okay? Now we can put the actuator on for the chute. So, once this is all on, don't put it on until you're ready. And of course, I don't put that key back, as I mentioned earlier. Don't put it on until you're happy with your tuning. A little bit of Loctite, because these things will back out on you. You'll lose them, just like everything else. So if it doesn't have a lock washer or a serrated bottom, because some of these actually do have some serrated bottoms to them, and they're like locking head bolts, then you want to put Loctite on. And once you're happy, you can put this back, because you shouldn't have to take it off again for a long time. Keep it nice, and it'll serve you well. Done, fellas. Okay, she's beautiful. Let's take a look at it. Right, we've covered over everything. Loctited on anything that needed Loctite. Lubricant on everything that needed lubricant. Went over everything. Just an absolute pleasure and an honor, right, in a way, to be able to work on an older machine that is just beautiful. Hold on, let me cut it here, because I want to go take a look at the date. I think I can get a date on it. Alright, pals, model number 31A S6HEG799. And I don't see a date on it, but 2009 is about when everything ended for Tecumseh, so you can go do your own homework. It's getting old. Just be mindful. Also, if you're in a really cold climate, you're going to want to drop the weight of the oil in the engine down, and the weight of the grease or oils that you're using on the drivetrain areas here as well. You're going to want to be mindful of that. Of course, that's in your area. There is no good way to put a shut-off valve and a filter in these things. The tank has a screen in it, like a nylon screen in it, and that'll catch most of it. Try not to get any junk in here. The water and the junk. Try to keep it out. At the end of the year, you might want to start running some two-smoke through it, two-stroke oil and gas, a little bit of a stable or something like that, and then let it run through the carburetor, and then suck it out. Get yourself a suction tool, suck it out. That'll also, if you happen to get any junk in there in the tank, that'll help get that out. And then let it run until she's out of gas, okay, and put her away for the year. You can store it on its face. You might leak a little bit of oil. You're going to want to, keep an eye on all of that, but get the gas out before you do that. Make sure it's cool before you store it on its face. And that's about it. Thanks for watching this episode. I really enjoyed this old Craftsman snowblower with the Tecumseh power on it. And hopefully you guys got something out of it, some tips and tricks, a little bit of how-to. I will see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. I hate saying that because it gets so boring. Nobody does it anyway. But what I would like you to do is check out some of the other snowblowers and some of the other stuff on my channel. Go to the homepage and check out some stuff, and I might link some stuff here somewhere. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching Archer's Garage.